Okay, so in the first part of this, we talked about do to sol, and we explained how between mi and fa is a little half step. We explained how do is fluid. We explained why the hand signals do the way they do. I'm not going to review that. You should have watched the first one that I made first. If not, go back and watch that. We're going to continue from where we're at. So we're talking about sol. I'm going to start with sol so we can connect it. Sol and do are very important to each other. Do is your tonic, man. We talk about this is the root. So if I'm in the key of D, do is D. If I'm key of G, do is G. Sol is a fifth above that. And basses, almost every single, I say almost because there are exceptions to every rule. Almost every song we sing, you do sol to do. But usually instead of going sol to do down, you go sol to do up, and the sol's actually down here at the bottom. It is what we call a cadence. It sounds finished, and that's why it's so important. When we do our warm up stuff, we're doing the tonics, sol, and this one. We do a lot of that because that's already in your ear. That's what you're used to. So this do is tonic. This do is tonic. We call this the dominant. This is the most um recognized 5-1 dominant, tonic, ending to songs. Okay. Little theory, we're moving on from that. So, sol is your hand splayed like this. Remember, we went from fa to sol. And then now la is the cup. And why? Because that's really where we have an ah vowel. And it's a reminder as we get higher in a register to keep it open. So la. So when I do this, sol, la, it is also a full step up. Sol, la, sol, la. Now, I do it here. Some people do it here. And part of that is we lift this to remind you to keep it lifted. La tends to be very flat. So it's trying to help keep you in the upper register. Plus, we get into the higher part of the scale, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. I'm losing sidetracked here. So la, sol to la is a step. Sol la T. And we point this up because T is one of those parts of the scale that although this is a whole step, it's very dissonant. It's used to give crunch. It's used to when you hear T, you want to resolve it. And so this is kind of remind you, T's lots of times we pass through it. We do T do a lot. Altos, you've got a lot of that, or re do, resolving notes. T is one of those that always usually goes very flat, and it always tends to go up and resolve to the note above it, which is do. So T tends to be this way to help remind us, keep it up, and it's going to be higher. La, sol, la, ti. You can hear it. I want to go and finish it to do. Now, T and do are also the tiny little half step. That's the other reason for it, is because then when you close it, you've got the visual of going up, but you also realize as you close that down, it's you're not doing a full step. Ti do. So do and ti, mi and fa are these tiny little like plateaus, half steps that we do. The rest of them are full, and our hands represent it very well. So when we do the full scale, do re mi fa sol la ti do. Those little spots where we gotta go less, and the hands represent that by smaller and at some point bring it down just a little bit, so that we remember that although we're going up, it's not a full step. So that is the whole scale section, which is why it's so important because I can pick any do. So do, sing the scale with me. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Sorry, my voice is tired. Now, going backwards, the intervals are exactly the same. We just do them backwards. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. So if I know any of these, whether it's sol, la, ti, or do, I can literally sing any single thing. And our next lesson will be practicing how we can find a melody using solfege without needing to hear it first. Because again, we get to choose where it's at. That is our next lesson. So take a little bit of time. I want you to kind of practice finding those half steps and the whole steps, do the full scale up and down on different doughs. Remember, all we're doing is trying. It does not have to be perfect.